Do not be surprised if you see Nebraska win 10 games, put themselves in the Big Ten championship, and possibly make a bid at the college football playoffs this year. Matt Rhule is entering his third season as Nebraska's head coach. And number 3 seems to be Matt Rhule's lucky number. Everywhere he's been in college football, anytime he enters his third season, that's when he gets in the kitchen, he gets his cookbook out, he gets all the ingredients, he puts in the pot, he stirs that thing up, and he ends up cooking something special in his third season. His third year at Temple, they went 10-4. His third season at Baylor, they went 11-3. They won the Big 12 championship game before he ended up departing for the NFL. And Nebraska has a lot going in their favor for Nebraska to have a big year 3 under Matt Rhule. You bring in the 13th ranked portal class. You continue to improve the offensive line. You get 2 really good receivers, one of those being former Kentucky wideout Dane Key. And Dane Key is going to be one of the most impactful transfers this college football season that nobody is really talking about. Outside, if you're a Nebraska fan, you're not paying attention to Dane Key. But at Kentucky, him and Barry and Brown were criminally underutilized due to the lackluster quarterback play and Kentucky not being able to get the offensive coordinator position taken care of. Well, with Dylan Raiola throwing Dane Key the ball, he should become one of the best receivers in the Big Ten. He is an elite deep threat. He has track level speed, and he should be a top 3 pick in next year's draft class. Look out for Dane Key. They also have Dylan Raiola going into a second season as a starter, and you should expect him to take a big leap. You keep hearing all this hype around DJ Lagway. Many media outlets already have him tabbed as a top 10 quarterback. But what about Dylan Raiola? He started more games than DJ Lagway, and he had just as big as an impact on Nebraska ending their very long bowl drought as what DJ Lagway had for Florida. And with Dylan Raiola modeling his game after Patrick Mahomes, you know, if you can just get 30-40% of Patrick Mahomes and Dylan Raiola this year, that probably gives you arguably the best quarterback in the Big Ten this year. And we know that Nebraska is only going to go as far as what Dylan Raiola takes them. But he showed a lot of promise during his first season. The first half of last year was better than how he ended the second half of the season. But overall, he had a pretty good true freshman campaign. And with the offensive line and receivers being better around him, that should only increase his chances that he continues to make big leaps as a starter for this program. And on defense, yes, you do lose Tony White and a bunch of talent on the defensive line to the NFL, but you shouldn't experience a major drop-off at your defensive line spots with what you bring in from the transfer portal, also of how well you've recruited. There's also a few true freshmen that could be in Nebraska's defensive line rotation. And the back end of your defense, you return 4 starters in that secondary. So for Nebraska, looking at this team from a talent standpoint, they're good enough to take advantage of a really favorable schedule. They don't have to play Ohio State this year. And your toughest game is going to be against Penn State on the road. Outside of that, there's a very easy path to Nebraska winning 10 games and making it to the Big Ten title game. And another reason why I'm extremely high on Nebraska going into this year is that 5 out of 6 of their losses last year were decided by 1 possession. They had that overtime loss to Illinois when the offense just sputtered out once they got to the extra period. You saw the inexperience of Dylan Raiola kind of bite them in the rear end. And then after they got blown out by Indiana, The week after, they go on the road to Ohio State in a game that you would have expected them to have no shot at winning. And they came really close to walking out of that game with the W despite having to play that game in Ohio State's home field. They only lost 21-17, and they were in control of that game for the majority of it up until the final moments of the fourth quarter when Ohio State ultimately pulled away. So if you are able to go toe-to-toe for Ohio State, you're good enough to take advantage of a schedule where you don't have to face Ohio State or Oregon. Penn State definitely is going to be a tough out, but if Nebraska ends up taking that big year 3 leap that they should with the Matt Rhule magic, they could go up to Happy Valley and possibly pull off an upset, especially if they end up being ranked. Anytime James Franklin sees a ranked team, the guy just shits himself. He doesn't know how to win big-time games. And Matt Rhule has been no stranger to turning programs around. He already ended your very long bowl drought. And now going into year 3, it's only right to expect for this program to continue to take another step in the right direction under him. And I love Matt Rhule. He's one of my favorite coaches in college football. When you listen to Matt Rhule talk, he just has an infectious energy about him where he's just a hard guy not to like. How can you not root for Matt Rhule? He just oozes positivity. And that's what I love about Matt Rhule so much. And you can definitely tell that his players feel the same way about him, especially on defense. A lot of the starters that they bring back on that side of the ball easily could have went with defensive coordinator Tony White down to Tallahassee. But with what Nebraska has coming into this year, you got the year 3 Matt Rhule magic where Nebraska is going to be in for a big year based off what he's done in year 3 at his past stops. With Dylan Raiola expected to take a big leap, you should still have a really good defense. You have a favorable schedule. All the stars are perfectly aligned for Nebraska to possibly make a run at the Big Ten championship and put themselves into the CFP. We know Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State are pretty much going to be locks to get into the playoffs, but there's going to be at least one team in the Big Ten this year that surprises us, that comes out of nowhere. Last year, that team was Indiana. This year, Indiana most likely takes a step back, and Nebraska could be that team that ends up being that 4th team out of the Big Ten that shocks us, gets into the playoffs, and makes a little bit of noise.